In a quaint little village surrounded by rolling hills, there was a forest no one dared to enter. Known as the Whispering Forest, it was both a source of wonder and fear. Tales passed down from generations spoke of trees that could talk and secrets they guarded. The villagers whispered about the forest's magical energy, but no one had ventured deep enough to uncover the truth. Arlo, a curious and adventurous boy with bright eyes and an insatiable thirst for discovery, often sat at the edge of the village, staring at the forest. One day, "I'll find out what's in there," he declared to himself. His friends laughed. "You're crazy, Arlo." "The forest is cursed," said Tessa, his best friend. Arlo wasn't deterred. What if the forest isn't cursed? What if it's just misunderstood? One crisp autumn evening, as the village prepared for a festival, Arlo decided it was time. He grabbed his lantern, a satchel filled with snacks, and his courage, setting off toward the Whispering Forest. As Arlo stepped into the forest, the world around him seemed to change. The air grew cooler, the trees taller, and the ground softer beneath his feet. The rustling leaves sounded like whispers, faint but unmistakable. "Who's there?" Arlo asked, his voice trembling slightly. A gentle breeze brushed his face, and the whispers grew clearer. "We are the trees, guardians of magic," came a melodic voice. Arlo froze, his heart pounding. "Trees can talk?" "Yes, child," the trees replied. Their voices were soothing, like the rustle of leaves in a gentle wind. "You are brave to enter. We have a task for you." Arlo's curiosity outweighed his fear. "What kind of task?" The trees explained that deep within the forest lay a magical crystal, glowing with energy that sustained the life of the forest. Recently, it had been stolen by a mischievous raccoon named Rollo. "The forest grows weaker without the crystal," the trees said, their voices tinged with sadness. "We cannot retrieve it ourselves, but perhaps you can." Arlo nodded. "I'll help. Where do I start?" "Follow the trails of shiny objects," the trees advised. "They will lead you to Rollo's hiding place." Gripping his lantern tightly, Arlo set off deeper into the forest. The forest grew darker as Arlo walked, but his lantern cast a warm glow, guiding his way. Soon, he noticed small, glittering objects scattered along the path, buttons, coins, and pieces of glass. This must be Rollo's trail, Arlo thought. The trail wound through tangled roots and thick underbrush. Along the way, Arlo encountered animals that watched him curiously. A family of deer peered at him from behind the trees, and an owl hooted softly from a branch above. "Don't worry," Arlo whispered to himself. "I'm doing this for the forest." After what felt like hours, Arlo reached a clearing. In the center stood a hollow log, and inside it, he saw two bright eyes reflecting the light of his lantern. "Rollo?" Arlo asked cautiously. The raccoon emerged, clutching the crystal in his tiny paws. The crystal glowed faintly, casting a soft blue light. Rollo tilted his head, as if sizing Arlo up. "I need the crystal," Arlo said gently. "The forest is dying without it." Rollo squeaked and darted back into the log. Arlo sighed. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to help." Arlo sat down near the log and pulled out some snacks from his satchel. He placed a piece of bread and an apple slice on the ground. "Here, I'll trade you," he said. After a moment, Rollo peeked out. He sniffed the air, then cautiously approached the food. The raccoon nibbled on the bread, keeping a watchful eye on Arlo. "You like shiny things, don't you?" Arlo said, holding up a polished coin he had found earlier. He placed it next to the apple slice. Rollo's eyes lit up. He scurried over, grabbing the coin and leaving the crystal behind. "Thank you," Arlo said, picking up the crystal. With the crystal safely in his hands, Arlo retraced his steps back to the clearing where the trees had first spoken to him. The forest seemed even darker now, the whispers quieter, as if holding their breath. "I have the crystal," Arlo called out. The trees rustled with excitement. "Place it on the pedestal," they instructed. In the center of the clearing was a stone pedestal, covered in moss and vines. Arlo carefully set the crystal in its rightful place. Suddenly, the forest came alive. The crystal glowed brightly, sending waves of light through the trees. The leaves sparkled as if dusted with diamonds, and the air filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. The trees swayed gracefully, their whispers now filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Arlo. You have saved us." Arlo felt a warmth in his chest. "I couldn't have done it without Rollo," he said, glancing at the raccoon who had followed him back. Rollo chirped happily, clutching his new coin. The forest was transformed. Animals emerged from their hiding places, and the once dim paths were now illuminated by the crystal's glow. Arlo stood in awe, realizing the true magic of the forest. As dawn broke, Arlo made his way back to the village. The edge of the forest no longer felt ominous, it felt like home. When he returned, the villagers gathered around, curious about his adventure. Arlo shared his story, from the whispering trees to the mischievous raccoon and the glowing crystal. "You're a hero, Arlo," Tessa said, her eyes wide with amazement. From that day on, the whispering forest was no longer feared. Children played at its edge, and the villagers respected its magic. As for Arlo, he often returned to visit his new friends, the trees, the animals, and of course, Rollo the raccoon. And whenever he listened closely, he could still hear the forest whispering its secrets, just for him. Just for him. Just for him.